Kia ora North City whānau, my name's Jess. Welcome back to another day of North City TV Online. Today I'm coming to you from my propagation station. This is where all of the action has been happening for me over the last 7 weeks. I've gone from 18 plants to 58, so whoops. But it brings me a lot of joy and I've been turning into a hippie. I was going to introduce you to some of my plants, but I did that in a video previously recording the same thing, and I picked up a tray of 8 succulents and promptly dropped all of them on my nice cream coloured carpet, which took a fair bit of cleaning up and vacuuming. So we'll just appreciate them from a distance for now. But that's been one of my projects, one of the things I've been doing lots of over lockdown. I've been loving it. One of the other things that I've been thinking a lot about is this phrase, resetting into rhythms of rest and relationship. So at the start of the year, I did the classic, prayed for a word or a phrase to be my focus for the year. And that was what I got. So resetting into rhythms of rest and relationship. And I was ticking along, making some progress, not all that much, not moving in leaps or bounds, but getting there. And then lockdown hit. And as is the case for everyone else, it's had a lot of pros and cons for me. But one of the big pros has been a lot of extra time to think about, okay, how can I use this time to intentionally reset into habits that are healthier, both for myself, resting, and for my relationships. And at the start, when I thought about my relationships, it would have been thinking about my friends, my family, my church whānau, my work colleagues, and that's probably about it. Those are, the people that I see on a regular basis. And what I've been challenged on in the last couple of weeks is that actually my relationships and my friendships are so much wider than that. We're part of a global kingdom that doesn't have borders, and our brothers and sisters are located all across the globe. I was very lucky in December last year to get to travel to Malawi, and I met some of the most incredibly beautiful people with such hope, but such hard stories. And one of those people was Priska. And so she told us a bit about her situation. So in Malawi, 70% of people are subsistence farmers, which means they rely entirely on what they grow to survive. There's no grocery shop, so there's no toilet paper hoarding. And what it means is if your crops fail, you're hungry, and if you make it through that, you don't have anything to sell for an income to be able to afford, healthcare, education, those absolutely basic human needs. So it's a pretty tough situation, and it's very weather reliant because farms, of course, rely on the weather, and they don't have the same technology that we have here in New Zealand to alleviate that. And last year in Malawi, there was a cyclone called Cyclone Idai, and for a lot of communities, it wiped out their crops, their homes, everything they had. And Priska shared with us a little bit about what that meant for her. She talked about kids not being able to go to school because the river that they walked across to get there was flooded and there's no other form of transport available to them. She talked about kids not being able to go to school because they had to spend all of their time on their farm with their family just working to survive, which doesn't bode well for the next generation who aren't getting an education. Education is the most key thing for breaking the cycle of poverty, and they're missing out. She spoke of her grandmother's home falling down, of hearing things being washed away in the river. And it was the kind of stuff that absolutely breaks your heart, but also the kind of stuff that can feel really distant. And the way that I so often relate to those stories, those things that she said, is thinking about, okay, Priska's 14 and she's got a sister, Pimpo, who's 18. I'm 17 and I've got a sister, Annabelle, who just turned 16. And I'm sure we have relatively similar relationships, We care about each other so much. And I know if I was hearing the words Priska shared with us from the mouth of my sister Annabelle, I would be so much more heartbroken and I would be so much more inclined to act, to do as much as I could to help her. And I'm sure we're all the same if you were hearing, those words from your own child's mouth, your own sister, your own best friend, your own brother. It's so much more personal and we feel so much more inclined to act. But actually, what I've been realising is that it's not just me relating to Priska and Pimpo. It's actually that I'm in the same situation as Pimpo in a way, because Priska is just as much my sister as my own sister Annabelle. There's blood relations and there's kingdom relationships, but they're both equally valuable and they're both equally valuable people. And so I've been thinking about, okay, with this whole reset thing, it can't just be a reset for me. It has to be a reset for my relationships, as well as the ones here in New Zealand, the ones overseas. In fact, equally so. And I want to share this verse with you. It's Isaiah 58, and it's kind of similar. It talks about fasting. And essentially the people are saying to Isaiah, why is our fasting not working? We're doing the right things. Fasting in a way is a form of a reset. But it's not. We're not getting the results. And Isaiah says to them, this is Isaiah 58 verse 3, yet on the day of your fasting, you do as you please and exploit all your workers. Your fasting ends in quarrelling and strife, and in striking each other with wicked fists. You cannot fast as you do today and expect your voice to be heard on high. Is this the kind of fast I have chosen? Only a day for people to humble themselves? Is it only for bowing one's head like a reed and for lying in sackcloth and ashes? Is that what you call a fast? A day acceptable to the Lord? And I love how savage that is. I know it's really easy, I find, to want to, figuratively lie in sackcloth and ashes. And man, my situation sucks right now. And it does in some ways. COVID has effects on everyone, so does lockdown. But it's bigger than that. And he goes on to say, is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen? To loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke. To set the oppressed free and break every yoke. Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood. Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. And I absolutely love that. I think it's so relevant to what we're going through right now. So I really just want to challenge you, and it's the same for myself, to think about your wider relationships and to think about these two questions. What do I have? So what do I have? Time? Do I have money, resources, talent? And who needs that? And then challenge yourself, what am I going to do with this? How am I going to actually action this? I want to leave with one final verse. It's in 1 Peter 3:16 if you want to look, not Peter 3:16, 1 John. And it says, this is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. If anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need, but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person? Dear children, let us not love in words or speech, but with actions and in truth. So I'll leave you with that. I've gone over time, but thank you so much for listening, and just really encourage you, please do question, what do I have and how can I share that? Because at the end of the day, we only have what we give. So, ngā mihi, ka kite, see you later.